Let's talk about a subject that can be difficult and frustrating, and actually it can be easy too. I'm talking about color correction. You know, Andy, I don't really know a lot about it, but I know there are places in Final Cut Pro that can help me. So let's do this. Go into secondary media and pick up this one right here, and that's her talking with a low-end camera. And then we've got the little girl on the horse here. And so I'm going to select this one, hold down the Command key, and select this one. Remember, if you want to bring down multiple clips at the same time, you select them in the order you want them to appear on your storyline up here, and then do something like this. Let's go here, click that little button, and say Video Only. We don't need the audio, that's just going to distract us. Video Only, then click this button right here, and they will appear in the order that we selected them. If we look at these clips, there is a little bit of color correction that I would like to do. But you might say, that's not really my long suit. I'm not really good at color correction, and sometimes it seems the more I try to correct something, the worse it gets. In this lesson, we're going to talk about two things you can do where Final Cut Pro will say, stand back, okay? I'll try to fix it for you. If we click here and select this one, and we come over here to this button, which basically is Enhancements menu, we select here, you have two options, and that is Balance Color and Match Color. Now, Balance Color does it automatically, but let me show you something. Let's get out of there for a second. Leave this one selected. Come over and pick up our inspector right over here. Notice up here it says Balanced Analyzed. Now, sometimes you will see Not Analyzed. For example, just real quick, if we go into this button over here, in other words, Import, let me just pick something real quick here. Doesn't matter what, just let me find something. Import selected. We have the option to analyze for balance color. I don't usually use that one, and the reason is because when I'm working on a project, a lot of times I might actually be bringing in several hundred different things. And I don't want to slow down because a lot of them aren't going to need it anyway, and I don't want to waste the time. Another way we could do this is by right-clicking on one of these, and we've done this, and going into Analyze and Fix, and there it is, Analyze for Balance and Color. But the one thing it's not going to do, notice it's not on. If it is balanced using one of the two methods that I showed you, it will check it, but it won't turn it on. You have to do that. If you choose the button here and say Balance Color, it's going to do the same thing, but it will turn it on once it's done. So we can click this button right here, and you can see indeed it did change the image and it turned it on. So if this had said Not Analyzed, we could have come down here and done the same thing. It would have done the same thing. If we want to see a before and after, the easiest way to do that is just to click right about here, and you can see what it looked like before and after. And I do like what it did. I really do. I think it's a little bit on the cyan side, but we could correct things like that. We'll talk about that later. But it did a pretty good job if it has something to work with. In other words, if it has a good dynamic range, lights and darks. 9 times out of 10, it does a pretty good job. I'm very happy with Analyze and Fix. So what is Match Color? Well, Match Color to me doesn't do what everybody thinks it's going to do. For example, you say, well, she's got some really good flesh tones, and I have another video, and I don't like the flesh tones in that video, so I'll match the color. It's not how it works. It works across the board on everything. So I don't use Match Color a lot to say, get flesh tones. Or, hey, look at that blue sky. I've got to have that blue sky. It's not really how it works. What it does best is when you're really messing about with the colors. For example, if we come over here, we have color correction here, or correction 1, and I can turn that on or off. It's not going to do anything because it's not been activated yet. If I click this little button right here, we get into an area we will talk about later. And let's go into saturation. What I want to do here is achieve an older film look. Old film, traditional film, didn't have the dynamic range of the films that we use today. So it usually clipped on blacks and whites or shadows and highlights. So if I want to achieve a little more of a rustic look, one of the things I might do is grab here, that's called a puck actually, in saturation, and drag it all the way down and do the same thing to my highlights. So shadows and highlights, lights and darks are down, and maybe pull the midtones up just a little bit like that. So it's extremely different than what it looked like before. And maybe go into exposure and just go into my midtone values and lighten it up something like that. So I'm achieving, in a sense, this quote-unquote special effect that I'm trying to do, but I have other clips that I want to apply it to, like this one right here. If we click this little tiny button right here, it will take us back into the inspector. We have two places to get to match color. One is here, of course. You click it right there. The other one is up here, and it will do the same thing if you click choose. Select this one right here. That's the one we want to change. Very easy process. Then either click up here or click down here, doesn't matter. Now it splits the screen, as you can see. We have this one selected. What we want to do is select a frame in the other clip that we want to match to this one. We want to change this one. So if we come over here, don't drag, just skim. Now in our case, the camera is fixed. She's not moving hardly at all, so it really doesn't matter what we select over here. I'm going to get right about here and just click. Now watch what happens to the horse. See it change? Now we can apply it right here, and we can see if we come up here to match color, the before and the after. So if we play just a little bit of this, let's start right about there, and we'll go into full screen. Much different color, but it matches that one. So if you have this overall look that you're trying to achieve to multiple clips, I think Match Color does a pretty good job. If you want to just try to fix the color in an image, then if we come up here again, of course, this one does a pretty good job. But in both cases, we're saying to Final Cut Pro, I'm giving you control. Please do the best job you can because I haven't quite figured out how to do this yet. Matching color and color adjustment.